Greetings and welcome to another episode of JFT Talks. Today's episode is about doctor's notes and work restrictions, or your daily dose of not getting written up. So, before we dive in very quickly, I'm Joshua A. Strong, Executive Vice President of the Jackson Federation of Teachers and the host of JFT Talks. And I would like to begin by giving you this disclaimer. All information is, of course, for educational purposes only. It is not meant to be construed as medical or legal advice because I'm not a doctor and I'm not a lawyer. If you do have questions or concerns about anything that you learn here or about a situation you may have, please contact your medical provider or the union office. So, what are the essential elements of a doctor's note? Basic elements of a doctor's note are going to include basic visit details, name, date, time, and location. You will also need affirmation of medical need, essentially confirm the reason and provide a clear return to work date. Make sure that dates are very clear. Also, I have a note about no diagnoses, and I say that because your employer is not bound by HIPAA. And there is no need for your employer to have a diagnosis, merely that you saw the doctor attended to you, and the doctor gave you a return to work date. For most visits, that's simply going to be the next day. Sometimes it may be a few days. But again, make sure that affirmation of medical need is there. The reason um, you were there for medical treatment or you're there for a checkup or whatever. Work restrictions. For most of our visits, it's probably not going to affect us, but in some instances, you may have some work restrictions. Make sure that your doctor's note outlines all specific recommendations for accommodations, things like lifting or breaks or sitting, etc. And the note must very clearly state how long they last. 4 weeks, 6 weeks works. It's always best to try to give a very specific date. And I'm getting slightly ahead of myself, but if as you go along, it looks like you may need longer, go back to the doctor as soon as possible and get an updated doctor's note with updated information, restrictions, date it's supposed to end, etc. And finally, provider authentication. Make sure the note is signed by a doctor is best. It may be done by a nurse in some places, but make sure that it is signed and dated. It provides professional credentials and it has office contact information so that your employer may contact the office to confirm that yes, you were there. Updating your work restrictions. Um, Again, for most visits, when we just go for a checkup, it's going to be a quick appointment and then you move along. However, if there is anything special that your doctor says you should not do that may affect your job, you need to ask for a report of workability. Provide that to your employer and then update it as necessary to ensure that your employer has all of the current information about your physical capabilities. Immediate updates for safety. As I said a little bit earlier, if your doctor gives you specific work restrictions and you find that you cannot perform your job under those current restrictions, in other words, you need maybe slightly more work restrictions, you need to notify your employer immediately and you need to contact your doctor and schedule a follow up to update those orders. All right. Sorry for the short pause there. I had to correct something. Immediate updates for safety. If you cannot perform duties within your current work restrictions, perhaps you need a little bit more. You need to immediately notify your employer and schedule a follow-up visit with your doctor for updated orders. And in the meantime, you need to ask your employer what the two of you can do to get through the time between notifying your employer that you have to go back to the doctor and your doctor's visit so that you can still perform your job to the best of your ability. Reflect treatment changes. Make sure that restrictions are updated if your treatment changes for the better or for the worse. And what I mean by that is, if your doctor gives you a medicine like a narcotic that will affect your ability to operate machinery, or your doctor gives you something that may cause nausea or dizziness, make sure that any doctor's note is updated with that. Or the opposite, if you are taken off of something and it's not specifically mentioned here, I think as it was said slightly earlier, always make sure that the restrictions are very clear. I know that doctors will sometimes write things slightly vague to allow you some leeway, but employers don't always see it like that. And it is always best if those instructions are extremely clear. Maintain consistency, and I cannot stress this enough. It is vital that your medical records are consistent across all your visits because discrepancies can not only be used by insurance to deny claims or benefits, but your employers can use it to show things like abuse, whether it was actual abuse or they just think it looks like abuse. I say this because we have had an incident recently where a member had a series of doctor's notes with extremely inconsistent work restrictions. It appears to have been a clerical error, but the district snatched hold of that and tried to use that against the member by saying she was getting her doctor to just write whatever. It wasn't what was really going on. However, that's what it looked like in the district's eyes, and that's what they latched onto. So again, make sure your medical records are consistent across all of your visits. You should not be on total bed rest and then, oh, you can go straight back to work and then, oh, no, you have to do this. And if there is a bit of a dip or a change, it should be stated that, and you can ask your doctor to put previous work restrictions were not sufficient. This needs to be changed. But what you definitely don't want to do, and this situation, was work restrictions, perfectly ready to go back to work with no work restrictions. Oh no, we need a bunch again. There's that huge dip that or blip of, oh, perfectly fine, that they latched onto and said, this is weird. And here's the thing about it. We have to take the health situation and put it to the side, and we have to focus on how the district is going to view things. I know that sounds a little crazy, but how they view things is important when they're making their decisions. Please review all materials before submitting to your supervisor or HR if humanly possible. You need to look at it before it goes. If that is not possible because your doctor is going to send it electronically, make sure that your doctor sends you copies so that you can review everything and make sure that it is not only accurate, but it reflects your current situation. Timelines for submitting paperwork. Report any restrictions immediately. Provide updated workability slips to your supervisor and or HR right away to avoid issues. Especially, you want to notify your supervisor and HR when your work restrictions change, whether more are added or they are taken off. FMLA certification deadlines. You are required to notify your employer for scheduled procedures and or surgeries, and it is a 30 calendar day notice, and you absolutely have to follow that. Please keep in mind FMLA guidelines as well as district policies regarding FMLA and notification and certification. If you want more information about FMLA, we have a JFT Talks as well as a JFT training on FMLA that can help you to understand that better. And I mentioned district policies. Please make sure to review or follow your employee handbook guidelines for physical and online doctor's notes. Best practices for documentation. The first thing you want to do is to take the JFT training on documentation. It's about 2 hours, and it's going to give you everything you need to be able to document appropriately. You want to record the specifics for your documentation. This is date, time, location, individuals involved, any witnesses, what was said, etc. And it needs to be in writing. Again, maintain a paper trail. You want printed copies of all digital communications, something physical, because that's really going to be helpful. Digital copies are not bad until you can't get to them. And with that, make sure that all of your documentation is stored in a place you control and no one else can lock you out of it, like your work email. That is not something you control. The district can lock you out of it and will if they feel the need. While we are here, if it ain't on paper, it didn't happen. Always, always, always have written documentation of verbal conversations. The easiest way to do this is with a recap email. After you've had a conversation with someone, go and sit down and write an email saying, at this time, in this place, these people were together and this was the conversation, this was what was said. And then I always suggest leave a room for the person you send it to, like your supervisor, to respond by saying, please let me know if any of this is incorrect. You also want to secure your access. Again, I've already sort of talked about this, but make sure that you send digital copies to a personal email address or perhaps a flash drive or something. It has to be something that you control and no one else can just take away from you without your knowledge. And finally, be factual and objective. Leave the opinions out. And I will tell you, when I'm in a situation, I have a lot of opinions about things. But when we're documenting, that is not the place for our opinions. If you want to, write yourself an entire documentation full of all of your feelings and all the opinions you have. It is extremely cathartic, and I do recommend it. But that is not the document that you need for your documentation. Documentation should read much like a scientific experiment. It is very dry. It is very factual. It doesn't have opinions. It just has the facts. Make sure that you give plenty of pertinent information. Names, dates, times, etc. So, in summary, please ensure doctor's notes have all the required information and check them for accuracy. Provide information to your employer or HR, which includes any updates, as soon as possible, and absolutely make sure that there is a paper trail. Be sure to follow all employee handbook guidelines. Pay attention to and follow all deadlines for submitting paperwork. And good documentation is critical in the event of issues. Make sure you always have access to your paper trail. And on your screen, you can see the sources that we used to pull this together, which includes a brochure about documentation that you can find on our website under Resources, Other Resources. Please also note that Notebook LM by Google was used to extrapolate and synthesize information that is found in this presentation. And finally, because this slide deck comes from Slides Mania, I would like to give them proper credit. For more information about JFT Talks or the Jackson Federation of Teachers, please visit us at jftpsrp.com and check out all of the resources that we have available. I would like to note that some resources are for members only and require site sign-in. For members, that is simple. On the right-hand side of the website, there will be a place for member login. You will use the same username and password that you use for aft.org/benefits, where you access all of your discounts and benefits available to you from AFT. Once you've signed in, please go to Members Only and look under General Membership, and you will find all of the members only content located for you there. Thank you for being here for this episode of JFT Talks. Um, Good luck with your doctor's notes. And hopefully, this has helped to clarify some things or show you some things maybe that you didn't even know and help you to navigate being sick and dealing with doctor's notes and work restrictions a little bit easier. Have a wonderful, wonderful week.